Hi everyone, my name is Phil Chan and I'm the co-founder of Final Bow for Yellowface. Welcome to What's the Tea, a daily conversation with a dancer of Asian descent during the month of May for Asian Pacific Heritage Month to highlight the achievements and experiences of Asians in dance. Today we're chatting with Xin Ying from Martha Graham Dance Company, who's also raising some money to help support her own local charity with the Martha Graham Dance Company today. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
You look very like you're in a lovely setting there. Lots of green, nature. Lucky you.
Yeah, we got out the city about like 2, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, because we have a newborn and our baby haven't even seen the sunlight since she was born. So we decided to, drive to Indiana. So that's where we are now, Indianapolis. We are in Los.
Very cool. So why don't you, in case our people tuning in don't know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? Where are you from, and how did you get to Martha Graham?
I'm from Heilongjiang, China. Originally, I was born in Heilongjiang. So in China, people say it's like Dongbeiren, which is northeast. People with like very big personality, very loud sometimes. And I came to New York, I think 2010 for Master Graham School. And at the end of 2011, I joined the company. And since then, every day I'm just a Graham dancer.
So what are some of your like favorite works to dance, and like what are you missing right now during this hard time?
Oh, yes, there's so much to me. It's so much to me. I miss all the Graham works I do, and we do a lot of new contemporary works too, and that just also really fun. But for me, I think it's being in the studio. When you dance Master Graham's work, you are can't become a part of the history. You're carrying a legacy and passing on, and that's such a magical experience because at the moment you feel that there's timeless, right? You just communicate through time, through space, and through generations of dancers. That's such an amazing feeling, which I miss so much, and also just sweat. You're sweating so
It
much.
feels very it feels very Confucius too, talking about the ancestors. It's
Oh,
also, it feels.
oh, it's kind of true because Master Graham Company is 94 years old, and we just had our 94th birthday, April 18th.
Okay,
And
happy birthday.
yeah, and it just had, generations dancer passing on day by day, year by year, until now. And I miss everybody. That's just really hard.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about your training in China, and how did that prepare you for the Martha Graham Dance Company? What was your training like in China?
Yeah, in China, I started dance, I think, when I was 6. Back then, I don't think any modern or contemporary actually exists at the time. So only thing you have is Chinese classical and Chinese folk dance. And from where I'm from, we have what do we call the Dongbei Yangge, which is you use like a 2 red cloths and you will do some tricks, and it's a very happy and some like when you dance it in like big celebration on the street. It's very fun to do. And also like Chinese classical dance, which is a lot of hand gestures, a lot of eye. So for me, I think that actually especially in groundwork. Groundwork is very dramatic, and I know how to use my expression, how to use my body and the little details to express the drama. So I think that definitely is a huge part of like my advantage, I would say.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, help me a lot, 100%.
And tell me a little bit about, I guess, like, I know Martha Graham was also very inspired by the East, the Orient.
Yes.
She worked with like Noguchi, she worked with, Yuriko, there's a lot of themes in her work. Has your experience been like, dancing some of those roles, dancing some of the parts of from these other dancers? How have those two kind of connected for you?
It's weird because before I come to New York, I had no idea what Martha Graham dance like technique is, or like not really familiar with her work. I just know her name. That's all. Like just very, on paper and nothing really real. But once I starting to train in the technique, I just feel somehow fit my body and emotionally very expressive, which is kind of how I am as well. And then when going back to see all Yuriko, Takako, all those amazing Asian dancers to use her work in creating their own art. First of all, I feel very familiar for some reason. You feel, oh, this is somewhere I belong, even I have no experience of it, but I actually can do this. I don't know how to say, it's hard, right? I started to decide I want to become a professional dancer and join the company. I think I joined the company when I was 27 years old, which is really late for a dancer. It's like very late start. But somehow it worked, and I found my second home here. So that's just kind of unbelievable for me still, like right now at this moment.
Can you tell me a little bit specifically how maybe your training in classical Chinese dance, like what are some examples of that when you do Martha Graham works, like that you trained where you said, oh, this is something that I trained in terms of how I use my hand or my eyes or my épaulement, that is, how do you bring that into the Martha Graham repertory?
First of all, the first time when I saw Martha Graham technique, they start on the floor, start doing breathings, a lot of torso, and the contraction release you the spine. It's very similar like Chinese classic dance we call Xin Ying, which is also you starting from sitting on the floor. You do breathing exercise we call T, which is breathing in, Chen, breathing out, Ling, and we use this whole upper torso to do this circular motion, and it's so similar that just kind of blew my mind a little bit. It was like some kind of connection there. I have no solid proof yet, but I know Graham dancers went to China in the 80s. That's how when the Graham classical dance, Chinese classical dance starting to form their own training the system, how they started. So there might be a connection there in the 80s.
I'd love to see more research from you on that.
Yeah, me too. And what I heard is this Martha Graham, and which is part of the history already. We know Meilan Fang, which is one of the master in Chinese opera, was when he was in New York, he was in the neighborhood playhouse, I think, which Martha Graham also teaching there.
Right. So there might have been some influence and conversation.
Yeah, so in Graham technique, there's a thing called the pranzo, which is very similar like Chinese clock, like Chinese opera in Woyu, and also those like in Chinese opera, people will like squatting down and start to walk. We call that kind of walk. And she also have that in the repertoire as well. So it's like, oh, okay, I think I know, even I don't know the language yet, but I feel very familiar. And for example, in Chinese opera, there are certain times you have this, we call 亮相, right? Like you boom, boom, ba. You have this like snapshot moments. And which teach me how to the effort of your eye, your expression, and your body, physical body. You will freeze to trying to grab the attention. And that helped me so much in Graham. Graham have that kind of effort too. Sometimes you have your eye projecting and your whole body motion have to be at the same time being very explosive. And that's definitely helped so much in my head. Just like, oh, this grand gesture you are going to do, it's in my head. Is that boom, boom, bang? That kind of a 亮相 moment, a
Yeah.
snapshot, pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also just the drama of it. Like when I will say like Chinese opera actually is more the real influence as my training background, because Chinese classical dance basically is coming from that. So all the drama, the stories, and I have this heart just dying, want to tell that kind of story, want to be in this kind of very intense drama. So that kind of desire also made me just love Graham's work so much, because I feel so fulfilled and satisfied from it.
It's a drama that's very stylized in the
Yes.
same way that Peking Opera is a very stylized kind of drama. Like
Yeah.
it's extreme.
Yeah.
So in some ways it becomes very accessible because it's so stylized that
Yeah.
everyone
It
can kind
is.
of relate in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
Um,
intense too, right? You
oh
like
yeah.
when you have food. I don't like bland food. I like spicy, the strong flavors. Yeah.
So tell me about, have you had any experience in the Graham Company performing any of the sort of Oriental roles, or like any of the parts that were supposed to be Asian or Asian inspired?
um, because there's no role made for Asian, but for
Yeah,
some reason, she had a lot amazing Asian dancers like Yuriko Takako. And when you come to certain level, when you become principal dancer, you're always dancing the lead role, which is Martha did by herself before. But for some reason, audience will read into that. Oh, I think I saw Takako did this role, and now you're doing it. Are you doing it because you're Asian? I have people ask me that all the time.
yeah,
Oh, is that why they always casting an Asian dancer to do this role? So no, this role was created. Um, she created the role for herself. And
right,
she's not Asian. She's like pure American. She's a real American.
right.
Yeah, we're seeing like Martha Graham has the true American spirit, but she loved Asian culture. Yes, that's for sure. But that I get a lot actually.
So how does
When you cast,
how does that make you feel when you get that?
I think not. I I would just like laugh about it, and then later on you will question about it too. Oh, maybe I just get lucky because I have this dark hair and I fit in this role. Is that why? So you start seeing other people. Like the company is very diverse, so we have a African American dancer doing this role. You have the dancer from all over the world doing this role, and you feel, oh, we all have a piece, something different to offer, but people just picking up on that a lot because you
Right.
have this look, but that's not true, and that's not the worst. I think once I got, I think I was writing an article and it was taken down later on. Was saying, oh, so many Asian dancers are doing so well in Graham Company, and is that because they have longer torso, shorter legs? So because they have longer torso, so they can do all the grammar works, the spine, the contraction. It's kind of more obvious or somehow better fit into their body. But we have so many generations of amazing dancers from all over the place. And am I just being here because I have a longer torso? That really actually hurt me a lot.
I mean, what is that? It makes you doubt your place. It makes you doubt your artistry.
Yeah, totally,
Um,
100%.
yeah.
You just feel,
What?
oh,
Well, Asian people come in all shapes and sizes, just like everybody else.
exactly, like,
Um, so what? do you ever have any advantages, in terms of how being perceived? Are you ever celebrated for being Asian in certain roles, or, do you feel your race and your heritage is able to be positive in any opportunities for that professionally for you?
Mm, I think when I deliver certain, like for example, when um, the Chinese classic dance gave me this very fluid quality, and when I put that in part of my work, I know how that the quality of the moment or the drama delivered in a different way with others. Um, when that happens, when that actually translate to me related to part of my own heritage, that makes me feel proud. And I remember once I did deep song um, in China, in Beijing, um, and my mom was in the audience too. And that piece was created in 1937, was based on the background of a Spanish Civil War. But for me, it's something also very tragic happened in 1937, which happened in Nanjing. There was a huge massacre happened. And I actually talked to my director. I said, I have a really heavy history of that. And even I want to use that. It just same happiness, right? It's like nothing less. It's just same kind of deep emotion in my own heart related to my own history. I'm gonna use that to deliver this piece. And it just works for me and for my own audience as well. And my mom was just so deeply touched by that piece. And even, Martha created in 1937, she has no idea who Martha Graham is. Yeah.
Right. Tell me about a little bit more about your parents. I know that you were born in China, but I think a lot of Asian Americans who are maybe first generation, they feel a pressure from immigrant families, especially, to say, hey, like, don't pursue a creative career. You're not going to make any money.
Yes.
Were your parents always supportive of you pursuing dance, even at a young age? And how do they feel about Martha Graham as opposed to, say, having a career as a classical Chinese dancer?
My mom always being very supportive when I was little. She knows, oh, she's really good at this. Like she recognized that, and she trying to help me to pursue the professional career, because she's thinking that's a good way for me to get into a better college. And which I did when I got in one of the best college for arts in China, Nanjing University of Arts, when I was 15 years old. And I graduated when I was 19. So it's much early than others. And I already got a job in the university, offered me a very stable job, become a dance professor. I was there for 4 or 5 years. My mom, she's been very supportive for that, because she thinks that can lead me into a very stable life, very good career, until I tell her I want to become a professional dancer. Because in China, professional dancer not a real job, unless you're actually working for the dance company in the military, which is owned by the government. That consider we call the golden ball, which is, you have a very solid job can feed you through your whole life. Then I tell her I'm gonna go to America. I'm gonna study modern dance from the beginning, and then maybe trying to become a professional dancer. And she's thinking I'm completely out of my mind. She's thinking you are losing your mind. You become this crazy person I don't recognize anymore. And I invest so much in you, so much effort. You just throw everything away. This happy and stable life. And we had really rough years actually. I believe so many kids right now trying to pursue their passion have related to this kind of experience. And my mom, she was pretty intense and extreme. I remember every time one visit, which I don't visit very often, maybe once a year I go back to China to visit her, I have to hide my passport. I have to put my passport on my pillow and sleep with it because she will turn it. I swear, she was going to burn my passport so I cannot go anywhere. And we were fighting pretty much every day. And while I was in New York, my mom, I don't take any financial help from the family because she was, in the beginning, she was very clear. If you go, there's no money for you for sure, 100%. You have to find like other financial supports, which I got grants from the college I was working at. So they supported me for the first year. Then very soon I got a scholarship, then got in a company. Well, anyway, every day you're going to the studio, rehearse with the company, which is very new dancers have to get a lot of notes, then come back home at night. My mom will call me and just yelling at me on the phone all the time. That lasts for a year or two, I think.
And what changed that dynamic? Has that dynamic changed?
It's real when that actually the turning point was when she started to recognize what I do because she had no idea who Martha Martin is. Like for her, like a modern dance, modern arts is so far away from her. It's the Western culture. So she's just so not familiar with. And it's when I was performing at the NCPA, the National Center of Performing Arts, which is one of the biggest theater in China, in Beijing. And first of all, she recognized that theater. She's thinking, oh, that's the best theater in China. Even I already performed in like Paris Opera, whatever, like many amazing stages all over the world, but she only recognized that one she familiar with. Right. So she was like, wow, that's a good stage. My daughter going to perform in there. So of course I invite her to the show and she saw the curtain open. I was the opening solo, the deep song. I was telling you that solo. I think that's a moment like I fully convinced my mom I have a career here. And I'm actually living in my dream. And since then, and she's been very supportive.
That's
and she
great.
Just changed. Yeah. It's a very hard journey though, very hard.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that with us. It's important because if other people know that, it's possible, then they can, keep going through the tough times.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how you share modern dance with your mom, who's, again, you're sort of in between two cultures. You're, a Martha Graham dancer, which is one heritage now, and also Chinese. How do you dance between the two different cultures, very strong cultures, and how do you explain to your family like what is Graham dance? And
I try to let my mom focus on the body, just human body, human emotions, which it doesn't matter where you come from, right? It's just all the same form, and you all have the same emotion. You get sad, you're happy, you're excited, you're afraid. That can be related to everybody. And that's what I'm doing now, using what we call in Graham called universal language. I teaching in China a lot, and especially when I was teaching in a really good school, I would bring my mom along, so it's just like more convincing for her to say, I see your daughter actually teaching this really good college and teaching to like really good dancers. They want to learn what your daughter actually training in. So that first of all I will use that to pick her interest. So once she love to see me to explain to the students. Of course I will use Chinese to teach so she can understand. She actually learning when I'm teaching to a student as well. So she actually knows a lot like now because she's been seeing me teaching so much. And sometimes she will tell me, oh, that's how I feel when seeing this piece actually. The drama is so intense. I was telling her the story of Medea, K-pop heart, or how this woman, like we considered so evil. One of my favorite role, which is I talk about like in many interviews, just like so intense. she revenged her, want to revenge her husband, so killed her own kids, which is unimaginable. But also the drama just so intense and she loved it. She's like, oh my God, I love that kind of drama. I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. So she's, she, yeah, I guess just when you educating your parents, that's like a big part of it, right? Like telling them what you're doing, let them know. And there's an understanding that actually will build in between you. And that just made it work.
Yeah. What advice would you have for young dancers who want to pursue a career in dance?
First of all, I don't know. Sometimes I was thinking about Frankie. I was like, if Frankie want to be a dancer, how
Wait, who's Frankie? Tell us about Frankie first.
Okay. Frankie's my daughter, and she's 2.5 months old. Which I'm gonna give you a peek of her. She's like sleeping right now. She's being such a good baby today. Yeah, normally she'll be like up, ready to go. And today she's very, very sweet. Want leave me alone to do this interview.
Yeah.
So when my daughter Frankie, well, think about it. What if she want to become a dancer? Because I feel she's been part of it. Like I'm been performing since I found out I was pregnant, and I didn't stop until when I was 5.5 months, I think. And actually, I didn't stop after that. I just stopped performing with the company, and because of the groundwork is a little too intense for like 5 months. Yeah, a little bit. Just a bit. But I actually have been performing with her. I did the last show I did with her was in Guggenheim. I think that was like 7 months pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's been part of it already, and she will.
I love watching you dance and you improvise, and she's watching you and also kind of moving around too. It's very fun. For those of you listening, if you haven't check out her Instagram. It's a lot of fun to watch her.
Yeah, so interesting. She loved to watch. Like when even she got a little fussy when I started to dance, she would just be really quiet and start watching. So when I was thinking about if she want to become a dancer, if I will let her, the parents role kicking in, and then I just tell myself, if that's truly what she, passionate about, I would be fully supportive for her, because it's not an easy career to pursue. First of all the young dancers out there, if you want to become a professional dancer, I have to tell you, first thing, it's really not easy. It's a very hard road. But the reward you got when you put so much hard work into it, sometimes it's hard to imagine even. But when you feel that reward, it's just the most satisfied feeling, and then make you so addicted to it, you can never let it go. When you're standing on the stage, you use your body to express your own arts, and when people actually related to it, they understand you, then stand up and applaud to you. That's just the most amazing feeling nobody will actually experience. I was saying, they were saying no pain, no gain. I guess that's true.
You sound like a Chinese mom already.
Yeah, it's so funny sometimes.
Yeah. So one last question for you. What do you think we need to do as a dance community to kind of rebuild post-COVID? And what do you think we need to do to get more people to come and be a part of dance, either as doers or as audience members and donors and patrons?
I feel just more communicate and use different kind of form. I remember, especially for performing arts, we were so when social media and the tag all the technology kicking in, we were kind of freaked out a little bit. We're thinking, oh, if people are always streaming online, what are we gonna do? Can we selling tickets? That actually was a big concern for a lot of performing arts community. But I feel, just see what's happening right now. The COVID-19 forced us to stay inside, and we cannot creating art on stage or in the theater, and we still making art. People started being super creative, using different way, trying to reaching out to more audience. I think that's what we need to do, like continue doing. Of course,
Great.
without this, the bad situation right now, like we're in right now. But that's the effort we should keep doing for us, just
Great.
For the future audience. Yeah.
So now, just in case we have some crazy rich Asians who are tuning in today, what is a way that we can support you? Is there a charity you're raising money for today? Tell us a little bit about how we can help.
We have a GoFundMe page. Right now we have a GoFundMe link, and just go to the link if you can make a donation. Oh, Master Grammar Dance Company. Grammar dancers need your help, and if you can just go to the GoFundMe, the Grammar Dancer Relief Fund, and make a donation.
A crazy rich donation.
Crazy rich, please. Anything helps. Just keep going. Because everybody in here just want to make art. Simple as that, and just supporting them. They can keep doing it. That's so important.
Great. Well, thank you. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I think this is a really good opportunity for us to take advantage, use the social media to reach out and to communicate in a different way. Somehow we're doing more communication right now, without actually seeing each other. So just keep doing that, and let's try to make this very heavy time a little lighter, just by supporting each other. And yeah, that's it.
Great. Well,
yeah,
thank
and
you
a big
again.
Heart for everybody.
I like your big heart. Thank you, Xin Ying. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. And make sure to check out our Instagram page right now to see who tomorrow's dancer chat will be. And tune in tomorrow at noon Eastern time for our next conversation. Bye, everybody. Thank you.